Welcome back to What's Brewing. We are at Free Will Brewing Company in Percy, beautiful downtown Percy, and we are joined by Nate Walter, who is the lead blender and barrel program manager. A lot to fit on a card.
It is a lot.
Here, and that means that you hang around the basement? Is that what it means?
It's a lot of it. Yeah, I take care and pay attention to all the barrels and oversee what gets blended for these beers.
And a lot of barrels it is. How many do you have down there?
Give or take 400.
400. So that's got to be pretty much the biggest barrel program, at least in this part of the state and the country.
I would
maybe.
think so, but I'm not sure. In this area, for sure.
Yeah. And how did you get into that, becoming a barrel man?
It kind of always interested me. Homebrew, I was interested in the barrel aging and the sour beers, and that just kind of led to this.
So we have sour beer. Glenn, I know it's your favorite style in the whole world.
Listen, I love their beers here, right? Free Will is terrific, but you're going to try to make me drink something I just know I'm not going to like. What is this?
All right, you got to give it a chance. Tell us about this beer here.
First thing, you got to have an open mind.
Always.
Okay, so this is
I'm
not
known
for
that.
This is not going to taste like you expect beer to taste. This is our plum spontaneous beer. Spontaneous means that it was only fermented with wild yeast and bacteria that we captured from the air. We put the beer outside overnight in an open tank, and whatever falls in the beer is what ferments it.
Wait, so hold on. You make this beer in a dumpster in the back, and anything that falls from the sky, including out of birds and
and there you go with
drunks and cigarette butts,
there you go with the bad attitude.
Comes into this.
It's the original way to make beer.
I can hardly wait.
So there are certain ways to control it. And then this beer aged for a year, and then we added plums from central Pennsylvania. So you're going to get some plum notes. There's going to be a tannic character from the plum skins, but it also does have an acidity. Think of it like a unsweetened lemonade, maybe that level of acidity. So it's not something that has to be unpleasant. It's a very nice. It's just not what you think of beer to be.
Semi-sour. All right. Well, here's to you, Nate. All right.
It also has it's a beautiful pinkish color.
It is. It's really nice to look at.
My wild love, and it's available. You can get this out in the stores and so on.
No, it's only at both of our locations.
Okay, then you have to come to Percy.
We do have it at both of our locations.
And your place,
Peddler's Village.
Right. Yep. I'll let you know if it's worth a drive in a second. You know, I kind of like it. I hate to admit this, Joe Sixpack. You know, I've done a lot of shows together. You know, the sour is not in my palate. It's not in the group of things I like, but this is kind of nice.
There's a little bit of a balancing sweetness.
Yeah.
Like a sweet tart candy kind of thing.
Yeah, which is usually my criticism of sours, but it's crisp. It's not overbearing. I like it.
We're going to try another one too, but what are you aiming for? Because you're blending these, so what is it that you're looking for in a blended beer?
To a certain extent, we're looking to get a reasonable volume. We can't package, no matter how good the beer is, there's no point in packaging too small of a volume.
Right.
So we're looking to get a sizable amount, and then from there we'll kind of say it needs more acidity, it needs more oak, it needs more malt character, it needs more dark fruit, and then we'll pull from different barrels to add that complexity into it.
But that's all based on your own palate, right?
Pretty much, and I rely on other people who work here, other brewers, and John. You know, we kind of get together. If I get stuck sometime, I'll pull a bunch of people in and say, hey, what can we do to this? It needs something, but I'm struggling. I need to find something else.
That sounds like a pretty daunting task, actually.
Yeah, and I have a good idea of what almost every barrel tastes like downstairs, or at least what every group tastes like. So I know if I need to add some malt sweetness, I know where I can pull that from.
All right, we're going to try one other one here, Glenn. This might test you a little bit further. This is actually an award-winning beer. This is their Olly. They won a World Beer Cup on I believe it was silver. So yeah, that's beers that would be judged against all around the world. So to see a Percy Bucks County brewery winning, it's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. Tell me a little bit about this one, Nate.
Sour brown, Flemish red sort of style. A lot of this was aged in one of those really large foeders downstairs. So we pulled beer from
What's
that
a really
foeder.
large foeder?
A barrel that is roughly 9 feet tall.
Okay.
Essentially.
They're pretty impressive to see something that big and that much beer in there. Wow, I got my taste. I'm loving it.
Again, it's sour, but not abrasive.
I don't hate it. Listen, I'm going to give you my honest response. It's not usually what I'm looking for a beer, but I could have one of these and that would be fine.
I would compare this more to a dry red wine, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I'm drinking it
similar,
and I'm not thinking I'm drinking beer. I think I'm drinking wine. What's the % alcohol in this thing?
I forget. It's on the label. 6.5-ish, or is it more than that?
7.5.
7.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So moderate.
Well, yeah, not huge, but a little bit on the bigger side.
The thing that I think is remarkable about this style is that all the flavors coming from the beer. There's no fruit in here that I know of, and you get a lot of the oak flavor from the barrel as well.
Yeah, some caramel, vanilla, a little bit, maybe just a hint of chocolate from the darker malts, and then it has a great plum, blackberry, cherry kind of fruit character.
I'm going to back you up a little bit, and for people who are watching us and don't really understand the whole concept of barreling and so on, just kind of lay out how is this different from what we're normally getting.
Okay, the oak in the barrels allows some oxygen ingress, and that oxygen encourages the growth of certain bacteria or wild yeast, and that's where more of those extreme flavor profiles come from.
God,
too much oxygen.
You could teach ninth grade science.
Maybe. So that's why, so it's the different organisms that are in the barrels, and then the extra oxygen that gets to this beer over the aging period. This beer is portions of this blend are up to 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
so there's some age.
These are sours,
commitment
but
to this.
I'm assuming that with the barreling, you're not doing all sours.
No,
yes?
not everything is sour. We do the Imperial Stout Ralpheus in bourbon barrels.
Yeah.
And we do the Belgian Quad Ella in brandy barrels.
Okay, which are pretty hefty beers.
Yeah. And then this year we also did variants on those base beers.
With the Merlot grape in this one. Yeah.
Which was a fun way to sort of complement or contrast some of the flavors that we get in that beer anyway.
And this is the chocolate orange Ralpheus, which is an Russian Imperial Stout. That sounds like a real party going on.
This is a big beer. This is 16.6%.
Oh, well, we should drink that right now.
16.6%. Yeah, none of us is driving home to think of that. You know what? Let's do it.
All right.
Little bit. Little bit's going to go a long way. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is our Russian Imperial Stout Ralpheus, aged in bourbon barrels for a year. It's 16.6% alcohol this year, which is a big beer.
Wow.
What we're drinking right now is the variant we did with chocolate and orange.
I think I'm going to need a knife and fork to have this one.
Yeah, this looks really almost very like 10W40 almost.
Yeah, it's a big rich beer, a little bit fuller mouthfeel, a little bit of sweetness, and you'll get some heat.
Yeah, there's a little bit of heat in the nose. It's that alcohol bubbling up, but
this is good. I've got a little bit of a cold. It just cleared it right up, baby.
The chocolate goes well with the base beer, the dark notes
really...
you get from the malt. And the orange is a little bit more contrasting, but goes well with the bourbon and the barrel aging.
That's outstanding.
I got to tell you, that's really good. Yeah. So let's wrap with this. You are working on, as you say, this. How many years was this in the making?
This was 1 year in the barrel.
There's a year in the barrel, and these were extended.
These were up to 5 years.
Okay. What's down the road, right? You have to have things now that are just kind of in their inception.
We have a lot of the base beer for Olly, one Foudre, and then a whole handful of barrels. We always brew Ralpheus just before we release this year's. So we reuse some of those barrels and we get new ones. So that's ongoing. Every year it's brewed right at the same time that we package that one. And we're always doing more of the Cool Ship spontaneous beers as well as an array of different sours, dark, light, ones with fruit. And we're also stepping up our Saison program. Our barrel-aged Saisons are a little bit less of the sourness, a little bit less tart, but we're also playing with local ingredients, flowers, and fruits.
Oh, that's great.
That we either forage or buy locally.
So if I come into the tap room, I can get this?
You can get Ralpheus right now.
By the way, I mean, obviously, okay, it's on tap?
Yeah, and we do have...
I'm thinking I'm not getting a 12, I'm not getting a pint of this.
No, we're pouring it in, I forget.
Small glasses.
6 and 3 ounce pours.
Wow, it's really worth coming up here for this. This is special.
A 3 ounce pour to finish the night of this is a nice way to finish the night.
Right by a fireplace.
Yeah, very good. And a nice way for us to finish the show. Nate Walter, it is a pleasure. Your beer is terrific. We had a great time here at Freewell. Come on out to Percy and try this one. But trust me, try it in moderation. Joe Sixpack, always a pleasure. We'll see you next week on What's Brewing.